If you've taken berberine and ended up with diarrhea, stomach pain, or that uncomfortable burning in your gut, you are not alone. And from my perspective as a Korean medicine doctor, this is not surprising at all. Here's why. Berberine comes from an herb called Coptis, or huanglian. In East Asian medicine, this herb is used only in very specific body patterns. When you give it to someone who doesn't match that pattern, the exact symptoms many people complain about, diarrhea, cramping, that acidic stomach discomfort, they show up immediately. Today I'm going to explain 3 things. First, why berberine causes these side effects. Second, how to tell if berberine matches your body pattern before you even take it. And third, if berberine doesn't sit well with you, what the safer, more balanced alternatives are from an East Asian medicine perspective. Let's start from the beginning. Berberine became popular mainly for one reason: its ability to help with blood sugar and insulin regulation. It activates something called AMPK, which improves insulin signaling. And studies show it works best in people who actually have issues with blood sugar or insulin resistance. Now, here's what's interesting. Coptis, the herb berberine comes from, has been one of the main traditional herbs for treating diabetes in East Asian medicine for centuries. So, on that front, the science and the tradition actually line up perfectly. But it doesn't stop there. Berberine also has strong antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory effects. It helps regulate harmful bacteria in the gut. And again, Coptis has been used for exactly that: gastroenteritis, inflammatory bowel issues, irritable bowel syndrome. These are all inflammatory gut conditions. There's even more. Berberine has been shown to reduce neuroinflammation, and traditionally, Coptis was used to calm emotional overheating, irritability, and restlessness. So in many ways, modern research on berberine is validating what East Asian medicine has known for a long time. Sounds great, right? So what's the problem? Here's what almost no one is talking about. Yes, Coptis was used for diabetes. Yes, it was used for gut inflammation. Yes, it was used for emotional irritability. But it was only used for a very specific type of person with those conditions. Let me explain. In East Asian medicine, we don't just treat the disease. We treat the pattern. And Coptis was reserved for what we call heat patterns with sympathetic overdrive. What does that mean in plain terms? It means Coptis was used for people who run hot, people who have a flushed face, dry mouth, bitter taste, thirst, strong appetite, constipation. People who are wired, irritable, hard to calm down. People whose metabolism and nervous system are running too fast. It doesn't have to match perfectly. Rather, that's the tendency of symptoms Coptis was meant for. But here's the critical part. For the opposite pattern, people who have weak digestion, poor appetite, cold hands and feet, sensitivity to cold, loose stools, sluggish metabolism, Coptis was considered contraindicated. That means it was not supposed to be used. And what happens if you give it to someone with that pattern anyway? Diarrhea, cramping, digestive distress. Exactly what people are reporting in their berberine reviews. So yes, berberine can help with blood sugar, inflammation, and gut bacteria, but only if you match the right pattern. And that's what made me raise my eyebrows when berberine became a universal trend and marketed for weight loss. I know heat pattern might sound unfamiliar. So think of it this way. Heat pattern equals an overactive, inflamed, metabolically fast body. What does that look like in real life? You get thirsty easily and crave cold drinks. Your digestion is strong and you get hungry easily. Stress or irritability spikes quickly. You may have inflammatory skin issues, sometimes insomnia or difficulty falling asleep. These are the people who tend to benefit from Coptis. If berberine worked well, you probably fall into this category. Now let's talk about the opposite type. The opposite of the heat pattern is the cold pattern. That's a body that operates on a slower, hypometabolic baseline. Cold pattern equals low metabolism, low digestive fire. What does that look like? Your arms and legs feel weak, sluggish digestion. loose stools or a sensitive stomach, hands and feet that run cold, tendency to retain water or feel puffy. If someone with this type takes Coptis, what happens? Same as the frequently reported issues of berberine: diarrhea, stomach cramping, nausea, burning stomach, abdominal discomfort. These side effects match perfectly with what happens when you give a cold herb to someone who is already cold internally. Remember, Coptis is one of the coldest herbs in East Asian medicine. So, giving it to someone with a cold digestive system? It's like pouring ice water into an engine that's already struggling to start. Now, even if you're the right pattern for berberine, even if you run hot and have that inflammatory, overactive metabolism, there's still something important you need to know. Berberine's got strong antimicrobial properties. In modern research terms, berberine causes rapid shifts in your gut microbiome and triggers diarrhea. The good news is that it increases beneficial bacteria like lactobacillus and Akkermansia and reduces harmful bacteria. But the bad news is that it's good for a limited time only. Long-term use decreases overall gut microbial diversity and abundance, which is why taking breaks is a recommended strategy. The idea is that a diverse and balanced gut microbiome is more important for overall stability than simply increasing the population of good bacteria. Now, let's look at how Coptis was traditionally used. In herbal medicine, Coptis was used for acute inflammatory gut issues, gastroenteritis, infectious diarrhea, sudden flare-ups. And the instruction was always the same: stop as soon as symptoms improve. You never take it continuously for months. So even in the traditional system, this herb was recognized as too strong for long-term use. If berberine doesn't match your pattern, or even if it does but you're worried about long-term gut effects, what can you do? This is where traditional herbal wisdom becomes really valuable. Here's the key principle. In East Asian medicine, Coptis is never used alone. Never. It's always combined with other herbs that soften its harsh, cold nature, protect your digestion, and prevent side effects. Common partners include astragalus, pinelia, and ginger, and sometimes ginseng or other tonics, depending on your specific pattern. Now you might think, wait, doesn't that weaken the effect? Actually, no. There's a fascinating study that shows when you boil herbs together, their chemistry changes. They create new compounds that are less cytotoxic but more antioxidant. Think about it like this. Many active compounds are like a double-edged sword. They can be very powerful, but they can also irritate or stress your cells. Examples are vitamin A or green tea catechins that can cause liver toxicity if you take too much in isolated form. The genius of herbal formulas is that they reduce those toxic effects while maximizing the therapeutic actions. When you isolate berberine into a capsule, it's like concentrating the sharpest part of the herb while removing all the buffering compounds that kept it safe. That's why traditional formulas weren't weaker. They were often safer, more balanced, and better matched to real human patterns over the long term. So if you want the metabolic benefits of berberine but you can't tolerate it, consider working with personalized herbal medicine instead. A well-designed formula can often be tailored not just for your metabolism, but also for things like insomnia, skin issues, headaches, or inflammation, depending on your pattern. I'll leave a simple self-check pattern checklist in the description. And if you'd like more individualized guidance, there's a link in my channel info where you can learn more about consultations. Now, if you feel like your metabolism is low, your digestion is weak, you bloat easily, you tend to feel cold, have loose stools, or hold on to water weight, here's something interesting. There are other herbs that have been shown to activate AMPK or improve insulin and glucose regulation, but they support your digestive system instead of overwhelming it. They tend to work best for people who gain weight easily, but never seem to have enough energy. I'll break down the pattern behind this in my next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you then.